Trying to figure out who shot a bullet into a Pasco home.
And many are waking up to some more freezing fog out the door on this Monday morning. A look ahead to your week forecast. It's all coming up.
From Camp KVUE Local News, this is Good Morning Northwest.
Good morning, Northwest, and thanks for waking up with us on this Monday. We hope that all of you had a wonderful Christmas holiday and weekend. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Kristen Walls. Kristen, we did end up seeing some snow just in time for Christmas.
We did, towards the afternoon. I am tracking another chance for some winter weather to move in. What does that New Year's Eve, New Year's Day forecast look like? It's all coming up.
Thank you, Kristen. And with this winter weather, officials are reminding you to drive extra carefully. The number one tip is to slow down and to leave extra space between yourself and other cars. Officials also recommend that you leave a few minutes earlier than usual to give yourself extra time to get wherever you're going. They also encourage staying home if you can. Well, the federal government will be staying open now that President Trump has signed a coronavirus relief and omnibus funding bill. President Trump's signature will narrowly avoid a government shutdown. But since he waited so long to sign the bill, millions of Americans are likely to lose some unemployment benefits. President Trump stood on the sidelines while his Treasury Secretary and congressional leaders negotiated the legislation.
He's signing it because it's going to help a lot of people, but it does point up the frustration of his approach.
And in Washington, Governor Inslee announcing the state will provide funding for almost 100,000 Washingtonians who will temporarily lose federal pandemic unemployment assistance. This is to avert the lapse in these benefit types because President Trump didn't sign the COVID relief bill by Saturday night. The Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program provides benefits for those not eligible for regular unemployment benefits, such as self-employed workers. Washingtonians who receive this assistance can expect to get a one-time payment of $550. State officials believe that money will be distributed before the new year. And news from across America, federal authorities are continuing to investigate after an explosion rocked Nashville early Christmas morning. A recorded announcement from a loudspeaker on an RV warned of the imminent explosion, and several officers are credited with taking quick action that saved lives. The bomber was identified later as 63-year-old Anthony Quinn Warner. 3 people were injured in the blast and more than 40 buildings were damaged. Nashville Mayor John Cooper praised responding police officers for directing people away from the area, potentially saving their lives.
They didn't think about protecting themselves. They thought about the citizens of Nashville and protecting them.
Despite widespread damage, none of the officers or residents were killed. The suspected suicide bomber did die in the explosion. In Illinois, investigators have identified the gunman in a deadly shooting rampage inside a bowling alley that left 3 people dead Saturday night.
The suspect that was taken into custody has been identified as 37-year-old Duke Webb. Mr. Webb is a resident of the state of Florida.
Police say Webb opened fire Saturday night inside Don Carter Lanes in Rockford. They say Webb is from Florida with ties to Illinois. As police sort through the evidence, they believe this is a completely random act, as the suspect didn't know any of the victims. In all, 6 people were shot, with 3 dead on the scene. The other 3 victims went to the hospital. Webb had 2 handguns, and before he was arrested, he tried to hide those weapons and blend in with the crowd of about 25 people as police arrived. The U.S. Army released a statement yesterday saying Webb's actions were abhorrent. Back here locally, the Pasco Police Department is investigating a drive-by shooting that happened over the weekend. They say the shooting happened Saturday night near West Hopkins Street and Road 28. Investigators found shell casings there and a stray bullet in a nearby house. Police say the suspect got away. Thankfully, no one was injured, but if you have any tips, you should give them a call. Now to something more lighthearted. It's not just Santa bringing children joy this holiday. A Washington teen used his own money to make holiday wish lists come true for kids who otherwise probably wouldn't have gotten many toys. Caden and other volunteers in Snohomish County spent the weeks leading up to Christmas working with a nonprofit to prepare gift bags and presents for kids facing homelessness. He's raised money to do this by mowing lawns.
Oh my goodness. When you see the younger folks, the younger generation coming together like this and doing things, it's the sweetest thing.
Absolutely. It just brings a big smile to my face. There's a lot of hope for the future. I'm sure about that. All right, let's take a live look outside.
And we are looking at more fog as we start off your morning. Visibility is there from Richland's Columbia Point. Not the greatest. Watch out for some slick spots, but also looking ahead to more winter weather on the way. I'll break down that full forecast. It's all coming up.
Plus, the Seahawks are on a winning streak. Your sports news is next. Welcome back at 5:09, everyone. In sports, how about them Hawks? The Seattle Seahawks earned at least one home game in the playoffs yesterday after beating the LA Rams 20-9. With the win, the Hawks win the NFC West. Russell Wilson led the way for Seattle, throwing for a touchdown and running for another. Seattle will take on the 49ers next weekend to close out the regular season. Boston Celtics legend Casey Jones has died at the age of 88. The team announced the news Friday, but they didn't say the cause. Jones had 12 NBA championships to his name as a player and a coach. He also won 2 NCAA rings and an Olympic gold medal that makes him one of the few players to achieve basketball's so-called Triple Crown. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says Jones's impact on the game will be long remembered. And the Atlanta Braves say Hall of Fame pitcher Phil Niekro has died at the age of 81 after a battle with cancer. He was a master of the knuckleball, and his nickname was Knucksy. He played the majors for 24 years and made it to the All-Stars 5 times. He retired in 1987 and entered the Hall of Fame a decade later. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred calls him one of the most memorable pitchers of his generation. Coming up next on Good Morning Northwest, an Oregon family had to escape through a second-story window when their house caught on fire. Their story is next. Welcome back to Good Morning Northwest. Holiday retail sales are about 3% higher this year compared to last year. That's according to a report from MasterCard Spending Plus. Online spending was up 49%, and the pandemic appeared to be boosting sales of furniture and home improvement items in particular. Meanwhile, department stores and clothing brands are struggling. Another trend is that more people bought holiday gifts in advance this year instead of waiting until the last minute. That might be due to a longer shopping season, with deals starting months ago on Amazon Prime Day. The CDC has been urging Americans to stay home during the holidays, but new statistics show that's not happening. The Transportation Security Administration says it screened more than 1 million people on Saturday, and TSA screening numbers also surged the weekend before Christmas. December 23rd saw even more people traveling by plane, marking the heaviest travel day since the pandemic began. This all comes as experts warn of a post-holiday surge. An Oregon man lost everything in a fire just before Christmas, but he's voicing relief now after saving his whole family in a dramatic rescue. Reporter Megan Allison has more on what led to this unusual escape through a second-floor window.
It was insane.
Coming up next, concerts may be canceled because of COVID, but there is still a rockin' way to ring in your new year. We'll explain next.